My name is Jerry. I left MAGA, and I'm here to spill all the tea. Today, well, in this episode anyway, I'm talking about Mr. Hank Kunneman. He's this Trump prophet. I'm putting air quotes on that. You can't see it off screen, up out of frame. But yeah, let me just share with you how serious this guy is, or maybe isn't.
I'm an HO scale train hobbyist for about 40 years. I'm an artist. So there's the train layout. And notice the indentation part to the right. I was standing there with my back turned. I had my finger on where the bridge was. I was gluing a piece of track because there was problems on the track, and I was trying to get it back on track. So I had my finger on the bridge with a piece of glue, and I heard the Lord to the right there, the wooden bridge. I made all that, and I was holding my finger there, and I heard the Lord say to me, just like that day back in August of 2020, he said, Russia, really loud. Alaska has a natural bridge that actually is made by God, you could say. I think it's called, the Bering Strait or whatever, that connects the two together. There's a bridge there. Now it's covered by water. And I think God is saying that I want you to go to this place where this natural bridge that connects the two nations, because there is something that I'm going to bridge together out of the ashes. There's something beautiful that's going to come. A change is coming to the leader of Russia. And I don't believe it's a new leader, like in somebody else. That's why I think the Lord said to me, I didn't say that. He's saying something is going to happen to President Putin. It already is happening. I know it in my spirit. And when I pray, God says, pray for Putin. And the things that he has me pray is opposite many times of what people believe in the news. There is a seed of Christ in that man that is going to begin to come alive.
Okay, Hank. I'll have the links to all this stuff in the description. But anyway, that's just an introduction to the guy. Up next, we have this God told Hank Kunneman that Trump's impeachment will be removed. Now, I want you to notice that this is posted on Right Wing Watch on February 26th, 2020. All right, so this is about what, 6 years old? So let's go right ahead and see this prophecy, I guess, that Hank Kunneman missed on, because I'm pretty sure that Trump's impeachment did not get removed in a race. I mean, we're talking about it in January of 2026, right? I'll leave the disclosures in on purpose.
Now, the night of the State of the Union, the President is giving the State of the Union address, and at the end, I'm sure you saw it, the Speaker of the House begins to take the speech and tear it in two. And when I saw that...
If you'll remember, or if you don't, he's making reference to when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House. And so let's just move right along with that.
Something in my heart didn't settle right. I've never seen that done before.
It was disgraceful.
It was disgraceful. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, or in the middle, left, right. It's just a disgraceful act. I just don't think you do that as a representative. But
so, like Hank is referring to here, yes, Nancy ripped that speech in half, but it was in protest, the way I see it now.
the point is, I felt like God had something to say about that. And so I began to pray, and I said, Lord, you need to speak to me if you don't mind. I really want to know why this has bothered me. And I said, Lord, it's not just my own heart. I sense there's something in your heart that you didn't like about this. And it was at 4:40.
They do a lot of that. They do a lot of projection.
45 in the morning on February 8th, I put...
Oh, hang on a second. Let me replay that, because he does this whole numbers game with time.
And it was at 4:45 in the morning on February 8th, I put it on my phone, And I'm going to share with you this word. And it said this. God said at 4:30 in the morning on February 8th, he said, I've divided light from darkness.
Wait, so was it 4:30 or 4:45? I guess we'll have to play it out and find out.
So that you would know the difference. Remember, light always overcomes darkness. And I have divided so you would clearly see who and is what of me. So I've divided so you would clearly see who and what is of me, and to give you a choice to side with me, my side. When the documents of the speech were divided, listen closely. When the documents of the speech were divided, their party house shall be, going forward, more divided, with a new form of Democratic Party that will arise. And they will say, Reformed, Progressive, Socialist Party.
That didn't happen.
God says, I honor the honorable and those that side with it.
So Trump is honorable? I'm trying to lay a foundation here on Mr. Kunneman's moral compass.
Therefore, the attempt to tarnish this president's name and time in office by impeachment vote and trial, the record of it will be torn in two, removed and erased.
Yeah, that didn't happen now, did it? We're still talking about it. Okay, so this particular video was posted August 9th, 2018. So 7 years ago. And the main reason I'm bringing this to the table right now is because of the things that are going on. Just hang in there with me, folks. Because this guy is big. He's big. You'll see a lot of Flashpoint Media stuff. That's part of Ken Copeland's ministry. So I'm just trying to put a pinpoint of reference on this guy.
If President Trump, God spoke to me about him. I said, tell me about him. He said, Hank, he's a work in progress. I said, what do you mean? He said, he's working at some things that you know not of, and some is none of your business. And he's progressing. I said, he's progressing. He said, that's right. I know the heart. You don't. God is.
All right. Now, for another thing that needs to be understood here is that since Donald Trump was allegedly converted by Paula White into Christianity like in 2014, I frequently heard my dad and other MAGAs, and I questioned it, but that Trump was making mistakes because he was a baby Christian. And in the evangelical movement, charismatic evangelical movement, you're supposed to go out and proselytize as soon as you're saved, with no understanding of the Bible. All right, so let's go right ahead with this.
Is trying to put things in order. And can I tell you something? This you may not like. I cried out to God. I said, God, how long is this going to last? He said, it's going to last through the rest of this term. And then you'll see in 2020, things will begin to shift. Things will begin to change. And he said, as David was a man of war, so there are certain things that is on this president that I'm requiring. I'm not saying he's a man after God's heart. I'm not saying that. It's between him and God. But I'm saying David was a man of war, and David was always at war. This president has been called and appointed by God, whether you like it, whether you agree with it, to be at war with some of these cultural things, like it's okay to have man with man, woman with woman. It's okay, they say, to push God out of our schools.
Okay, so he's referring to the culture war stuff, which got Disney wrapped up, and a bunch of other stuff, Hollywood and television, just a continuation of the whole satanic panic thing from the late 70s, early 80s.
You forgot what we almost got elected in this land. And I'm going to say it for the record, whether you like it or not. You don't have to come here. You don't ever have to listen to me again. You can turn me off right now. If we would have had the woman who was running for president, she's on record on what her thought was, what her agenda was concerning you and I called the church.
He's referencing Hillary Clinton if you're not aware of what he's pointing to. Their language requires decoding for the outsiders. The purpose behind coded language in a cult is so that people inside the cult can openly communicate with each other, so that in such a fashion that folks outside don't understand. That's why the military uses code names for different projects and operations and call signs for various units. So it's all about the coded language.
She's on record on what she thinks about abortion. It would have continued and it would have gotten a lot more gruesome and worse. And she would have allowed your tax money to fund it.
All right. These are the same people that at least some of them believe in post-birth abortion up to 30 days after delivery of the child, which is infanticide. These people are lunatics. Just lunatics.
She's on record. Go look it up. So you better be grateful for the fact that whether you like him, agree with, I don't agree with everything, but we've got someone who is a friend of the church. And a friend of Israel. And
okay, hang on.
That, my friend, is huge.
Okay, so earlier in the playlist that this particular video is going to be in is an article readout that I did on Trump moving the embassy to Jerusalem for the evangelicals. It's for this guy and his people, Ken Copeland, the whole ministry. I'm going to introduce you to all the players. But you notice how he did that huge thing. It's just, they're a cult. I've got a quote from Shane Vaughn I'll bring up in a video I do about him. But we need to keep rolling. I got more. So we've got this Hank Kunneman cat revealing that Trump is a man of war, and so that's why we got all this chaos. I'll address the chaos magic with Lance Wallnau on another occasion. So Hank Kunneman says Christians cannot allow the Antichrist party to defeat Trump. This one, oh good grief. Let's just jump into it. Let's see, it's only, it's one of the longer ones. Let's do this.
Sometimes we hear prophecies today. Here's a big one. Will President Trump get reelected in 2020? Well, let me ask you a question. Are you willing to do two things? Are you willing to vote? We are subject to a democracy. It doesn't matter what the prophets prophesy fully.
Okay, so right there, he laid something out that laid the groundwork for the whole stolen election thing that followed the 2020 election, all the chaos that happened in the MAGA world with digital ninjas and Jovan Hutton Pulitzer and Sidney Powell with her headless time traveler and Jovan Hutton Pulitzer and the digital ninjas and the kinematic artifacts. It was a whole wild thing. But also you'll notice that he put a caveat in there in that by saying it doesn't matter what the prophets prophesy in full. So as long as they were mostly right, then that's good enough. I'll unwrap that for you later.
You have to vote. Second, it depends. Are you going to leave God alone? And let the Antichrist, the party of the non-religious who murder babies, and think it's okay?
Like I said, I've said it before, and I will continue saying it. It is exhausting to live fueling this level of spite, this level of disdain and outright hatred. It's pernicious. It's a venom that will rot you from the inside out.
And they don't care if churches open up. In fact, they've tried every angle they could to use a virus to do it.
Okay, so there he's leaning into the COVID conspiracy that it was a manufactured virus and that it was leaked from a lab over there in China, and that it was all by design. And you also need to understand that this guy does not believe that progressive Christians are Christians. If you're not a militant Christian in his eyes, you're not a true Christian. All right, this is going to take forever.
Because they don't have a revelation of spending time with God. Because those who spend time with God have a different perspective. And they can see contrary agendas that want to push God out of our society, push God out of our schools, push God out of the mindsets and the theologies of our schools and our universities. You know why
This guy also has preached that God is all powerful and almighty, but he also teaches spiritual warfare. Oh, and you'll notice that flag behind him, that's the Christian flag. And when it's paired with the American flag on stage behind a pulpit, that is a sure sign that you're in a Christian nationalist or Christian dominionist church.
I believe that President Trump will be elected? Because I believe there's enough smart people that aren't getting caught up in the foolish rhetoric that the enemy has tried to bite on, get you to bite on.
At this point, I want to remind you, Trump once said, "I love the uneducated." Okay, moving on.
I believe we have a friend of Jesus Christ and his church. We prophesied February 9th as they wrote about it falsely. And God said, because of this administration, and I say it again, you will find my mercy. You cannot tell me when a president stands up and says, we need more prayer in our churches. Prayer is a good thing. When a president a month ago calls a nation to pray to the Almighty God, not to a defeated entity, but to the very God that this nation was dedicated to, Jesus.
America is not a Christian nation. Okay, I'm going to back that up a second. Holy cow. Wow, this dude is so unhinged. This is extremist rhetoric, and this is what fuels these MAGA people. You want to know why these ice cats are so unhinged? Well, look at the kind of people that they listen to for their spiritual leadership. Spiritual leadership. All right.
To the very God that this nation was dedicated to, Jesus Christ, Yeshua. You invoke the blessing of God. You invoke the mercy of God. When a president on Friday says, it's time for the churches to open. Again, we're not reckless people. We're not uncompliant. We are not foolish people, presumptuous people. We are people of faith.
Well, given what's going on in the cities of the United States at the turn of the 2025, 2026, we've got Renee Nicole Good. I think there's been 4 people shot now by ICE. And ICE is part of these people. So, Hank, your words aren't aging very well.
We have invoked and brought forth now the mercy of God upon us. I'm not saying that there won't be any other cases or deaths. I'm simply saying something is about to shift.
Okay, so that's a word that constantly comes up. If you're listening to these people and you've got a bingo card and it's got the word shift on it, you're pretty much assured that you're going to get it. Yeah. All right. So what they mean by shift is a change that's managed by God or the Holy Spirit. There's going to be a shift for the wealth transfer, which was supposed to transfer, according to these people, money from the rich to the poor. And, well, here it is, the beginning of 2026, and it still hasn't happened. In fact, it's the exact opposite. How much merch has Trump hawked off on these people? Oh, and by the way, just for the record, I never bought any Trump merch. Never. I wasn't that deep into it. Yeah. I was just a streamer, a guy with a camera, a microphone, an icon, and an audience that wanted to hear me in the echo chamber. So I'm out here and I'm going to try to decode it all for you, spilling all the tea.
To where we are going to see God's hand and God's power in a way that we have not seen before, that is going to outweigh what we have had to see over the last few months of this brand new decade.
So, this Hank dude, man, I tell you what, how long was this video? I may just let this one run right through. You could see the title there. You could see the title. I'm not going to read it out. I'm not looking to get monetized, but I'm not looking to get a strike either. Let's just see what his logic is on this topic real quick. Just a minute, less than a minute and a half.
Well, see, Pastor Hank, Jesus did not go around and, upset anyone.
Yes, he did. He turned over tables. He took a whip, fashioned it all night, went into the temple. More than once he cleansed the temple. I guarantee you somebody was probably in the...
Okay, I can't. So, alternate history, they're trying to say that when Jesus cleansed the temple, that he'd had so much hatred, vitriol, anger wrapped up that he spent the whole night weaving this cat of nine tails that he's going to use on these people the next day. And you'll hear it, you heard there that Hank suggested it happened more than once. What this guy is doing is he's promoting militant rhetoric. It's affiliated with the Joel's Army ideology, and I'll address that later. But it's militarized Christians, and to expand the meaning of this particular coded language, the manufacturing of that cat of nine tails, and it is translated in the mind of these followers as manufacturing their firearms. They're presenting the whip that Jesus used to cleanse the temple with as a weapon, not a device for correction. Anyway.
In the crosshairs of those whips.
Yeah, in the crosshairs of those whips.
Somebody was probably in the crosshairs of those whips, turning over the tables. I'm sure one of them probably had one of those tables fall on their foot. How about when he told the disciples and the people, said, hey, by the way, go tell Herod, okay, who was in government. Well, if Jesus, we're supposed to stay out of politics. Why don't you act like Jesus? We're supposed to do what he did. He said, go tell Herod the fox.
Now, that word fox was not, oh, go tell that sly guy. No, literal translation of sly fox is basically someone who is bisexual. I've heard some people use the word faggot, that it literally meant to call out Herod's sexual immorality and lifestyle as a bisexual human being leader. And Jesus involved himself. He was not afraid to speak up.
Okay, I don't even Bubba. Okay, never mind. Moving right along. Oh my goodness. All right, so this was a message that somehow got through to my dad. I don't know that he actually listened to Hank Kunneman. Probably did because he raised me on Ken Copeland, and I'm sure he stayed with Ken all of his life. Dad's still alive. We can't talk. It's because of this. You know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna shut up and play this 39 seconds.
By the way, God is far right. Never forget it. He doesn't just come in and say, oh, well, you know what? If you decide two men, you want to be married and you really love each other, I'll give you a pass. He said, no, marriage is between one man and one woman. That's red. That's called conservative. That's called righteous. Narrow road. It's not wide road. And let me say this, by the way, any politician that's watching, let me tell you something. The liberal left, they're not purple. They love the fact that they're blue. And boy, not just blue, they are dark, black evil. That Democratic Party of no religious affiliation.
So when you're dealing with people who are influenced by individuals like this, it becomes a little easier to understand where all this indoctrination is coming from. I'm not even going to play this one. The title is there. Hank Kunneman says Jesus doesn't want Christians voting for Democrats. When I did the Greg Locke video, I showed Greg Locke ranting and raving on stage about this particular subject. And I'm trying to keep this video at a fairly reasonable length, so I'm going to move right along. Hank Kunneman says people not attending his conference is unfair to God. I'm going to save you the time. Give me the money, show up, or you're being unfair to God. You're being unfair to me, is what he's saying. And I'm a representative of God. Touch not God's anointed when you call out these cats. Anyway, let's see, what have I got lined up next? Because I got a choice one right at the end. I'm not going to play the full 2 minutes on this. Link, again, the links are in the description. But Right Wing News, Hank Kunneman says God chose Trump to establish a blood right so the church can rule. And again, this is from 2020. If you're unfamiliar with a blood right, it's what that's doing is setting up for blood sacrifice, which if you watch the Greg Locke video, I made reference in there to Greg Locke being involved in the sacrifice of the red heifers on the Temple Mount to usher in the third temple and make God send Jesus back. And this is all, they're driving for a self-fulfilling prophecy based upon their interpretation of the book of Revelation in the King James Bible. Blood right, blood sacrifice, so the church can rule, a theocracy. Hank in this video is saying that the Qatari jet is a sign of God's favor. When I get to the Ken Copeland video, I'll remind you of the jet that God needed, or that Ken Copeland needed to go to that thing in Jerusalem. But these cats are prosperity gospel people, and so for them, outward signs of wealth is an outward sign of how much God loves you. which is how they can excuse robbing people of so much money. Let's see. I don't think I'll play all of that one. What have I got here? Oh, yeah. Okay, that's a cleanup. Well, yeah. Let's go ahead and take in these last two videos. But right-wing cultist Kunneman he claims God praised Trump. Or yeah. Anyway, let's just do this.
They say you have seized Venezuela for the oil. Yes, this is true, that there is that which has been brought to the forefront of this earthly battle. But the enemy has sought and was seeking to bring war and to bring conflict through Venezuela.
Hardcore right-wing propaganda. This is how their fear machine works. This is why they listen to Hank Kunneman or one of the other, and you'll notice the guitar player in the background. I'll have to do a video on their worship music stuff. Oh, man. Anyway, so, yeah, I derailed myself there. But hang on, let me back that up. Maybe I'll refresh my memory.
But the enemy has sought
and
was seeking to bring war and to bring conflict through Venezuela.
Okay, I'm right. I went back to check that out. So this was 10 days ago that Right Wing Watch posted this. That's around the time that there was all the military insertion into Venezuela, all the chaos, the drone strikes, and all that. This guy who claims to be a prophet of God is saying that it was blessed by God to go in and do that. They're a doomsday cult. They're a doomsday cult. The way that, in reality, the way the Venezuela thing is playing out is that Russia made a deal with Trump. Putin made a deal with Trump to give Trump Venezuela in exchange for Russia's share of the Ukraine, and struck a deal with Xi over Taiwan. And this guy is masking these CIA operations as you know, it's God praised this whole thing. Yeah, the CIA is tangled up in this church. I will get to that as I continue working us closer towards getting into Operation Condor. This is crazy.
And to control the oil of the earth. But the spiritual oil and the natural oil does not belong to the forces of darkness or to those who thought that they could bring a one world order.
Okay. So for these guys, when he's talking about the spiritual oil and the physical oil, to them, everything is parallel. Everything is parallel. The spirit world is parallel to the physical world and are constantly active, immediately adjacent to each other, and even overlapping. Oh, good grief. What was that other thing he said?
Or to those who thought that they could bring a one world order.
There he's talking about George Soros and the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, the BRICS. Anyway, yeah, globalist is who he's talking about. Evil demon rats is another phrase that they use for this. Progressive thinking people. But anyway.
This is my reset. And the oil of the natural and the oil of the spirit is mine, says the Lord. Therefore I have said I will shake the earth
that the gold and silver is mine, and you will see through the natural oil that gold and silver, and there will be a revaluing of currency, and there will be a flow not only of oil in the earth that will cause the pressure and cause that which has suppressed the people of nations.
Okay, made a reference there to wealth transfer, but I want you to be noticing the music in the background, that hypnotic melody, and also take note of the tenor and cadence of his voice, of Hank Kunneman's voice. It's definitely impassioned. He's projecting in short articulations. It's very rhythmic. It's hypnotic, or it can be, especially combined with the music. And you'll see there's somebody with their hands up. There's several people with their heads down. It's like in a moment of prayer. This is what they call a prophetic moment. Hank Kunneman is presuming to, or is claiming to be projecting or channeling God's words.
I will lift it through the oil of the natural, but this is the work of the oil of my spirit, says the living God, that is destroying yokes and undoing heavy burdens through the oil of my spirit.
Oh, good grief. I cannot finish this. I can't. It keeps going on like this. And by the way, take note of how these folks are dressed, especially the guy with the skinny plaid jeans. That is a very common look with the bro-evangelicals. If you want to finish this video, this particular one, link is in the description. I want to close out this particular episode with a particular brand of wackiness that is just, it's chef's kiss. That's what I'll call it. I'll call it chef's kiss. You can read the headline, but or the title on the video, but I'm gonna go ahead and play it. It's only 1 minute and 9 seconds long. I'll see you on the other side.
I'm telling you, I've seen way too much that I haven't talked about, but I'm telling you, that day is about to come where some of the things that you thought, like that's really Biden, okay? All right, come on. You know, there's a lot of things that's going to come out. I know I just shocked you, but, you know, God said from the very start, and that's on record, and I got attacked by the secular media. It was the next day after the 2020 election when the devil appeared to me in that vision, and it was at 4:45, and God said there'll be 4 more years for 45. How many remember that? Yep. And the devil appeared, and he was talking about all the things he was going to do, and I saw this face of this Biden guy change 2 to 3 times. I remember that. How many have you seen 2 or 3 different versions of this guy, right? One with a big turkey gobble, and then it disappears, right? And it's out again for Thanksgiving, and he's also 6'5", and the other guy, he grows, you know, from 6'5" to like 5'11". And here's the thing. God said the next day, and I have a video to prove it. You can go out there and see it. God said you're to say 46 does not exist.
The multiple Bidens, that's a QAnon thing. There was this whole conspiracy theory, two couple of different conspiracy theories. One, that Joe Biden kept changing because he was a clone, and that's why sometimes Biden fell down and other times he didn't. It's like that movie Multiplicity. But then also there's the actors in masks conspiracy theory that QAnon was spreading around Joe Biden. And so that's what Hank Kunneman was talking about. Let me know what you think in the comments. Share, like, subscribe, all that if you're so inclined. I appreciate you making it to the end of the video. If you did, do me a favor, drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you have any other comments, thoughts, questions, please feel free to drop those in as well. I got more of this stuff for you, folks. I'm trying to help you understand their mentality. I'm trying to help you understand what we're dealing with, what it is I had to work through to get away from. Oh my goodness. I will admit I never got into Hank Kunneman. I thought the guy was kind of wacky. Before I even got close to Hank Kunneman's work, I ran across Julie Green because she was inside the populist movement where I was, or where I started. And last count I heard, she's missed something like 220 prophecies. Even growing up in a Christian dominionist denomination, our preacher told us if a prophet misses one prophecy, they're not a prophet of God. Anyway, until the next video, take care of yourself, take care of each other, get plenty of rest and fluids.